Good evening and welcome to Miller Chiropractic News. Tonight what we're showing is the history of chiropractic and the direction of chiropractic here in the Oakland County area. With us this evening we have Dr. Miller, and we're going to talk a little bit about the history of chiropractic to begin with. How did chiropractic start off, Dr. Miller?
Well, chiropractic started in the year 1895 in Davenport, Iowa. There was a doctor doing a form of magnetic healing, which was basically laying of the hands. And that was a Dr. D.D. Palmer. And there was a janitor in the building where he worked, and at the time he was questioning this fellow, and his name was Harvey Lillard, about how he had lost his hearing. And what had happened was Harvey related to Dr. Palmer that he was in a stooped, cramped position, and he heard a pop in his neck. And from that point on, his hearing started to diminish till ultimately completely gone for 17 years. So Dr. Palmer was studying anatomy and physiology at the time, and he thought, well, let me ask Harvey if he thought that if I got rid of that bump, if his hearing might return. So Dr. Palmer suggested that he thrust into that lump in his neck to move the bone off the nerve. And so after a few days, Harvey let him do that. And when he moved that bone off the nerve, within 2 days, Harvey got his hearing back. So from that point on, Dr. Palmer thought, well, you know, I think I've really stumbled on something here. So the next person he brought in to examine the bumps along that person's spine. And he found some right up in here in the middle part of his spine. And upon adjusting that spine, this person's heart trouble started to go away. So Palmer reasoned that the first person got rid of deafness, the second person healed up of a heart condition, all simply by moving a bone and releasing the nerve supply. So we thought, well, maybe I'm on to a new discovery about how this body works and how we not only get sick, but maybe how we can get healthy. So that's basically how chiropractic was started, from a man that had been deaf for 17 years, and through a chiropractic adjustment within 2 days started to receive his hearing back and totally regained his hearing from a 17-year period of deafness.
So he walked around with a bump on his neck for 17 years, and then one simple adjustment made his hearing come back slowly and put this back into place.
Exactly. What had happened up in here was the bone had shifted from its normal position, started to squeeze a nerve that affected the nerve into his head, which caused the deafness to occur. Palmer, in turn, released that bone, took pressure off the nerve, and allowed his body to return to a state of normal function. Thus, the body healed itself. Dr. Palmer did not cure deafness. He did not cure a heart condition. All he did was remove the interference and allow the intelligence from the brain to flow back into the body, and the body itself, the power inside the body which created the body, was able to heal the body.
What does chiropractic literally stand for?
Well, the word chiropractic means done by hands. It's divided into two words, Greek and Latin, meaning chiro, and practice, meaning done by hands. So it's the movement of a bone back into its normal articulation to allow the pressure to come away from the nerve, which then would allow the message to go from the brain back into the body, thus allowing the body to heal itself.
Okay. So chiropractic started off with Dr. Palmer in the year
1895.
1895. And the first patient was a deaf patient. The
Right.
second patient was
Had a heart condition.
heart condition. And then what are some of the other things that Dr. Palmer worked on?
Well, he worked on numerous cases. He had cancer people in there. He had asthma people in there. He had people with kidney trouble and bowel problems, headache troubles. See, the thing that you need to remember about chiropractic does not treat symptoms. All it aims at doing is removing the interference and allowing the power which created this body and runs this body to go back into this body to heal the body up. Chiropractors do not treat symptoms. However, people come in with symptoms, and under chiropractic care, those symptoms go away as the body begins to return to a state of normal function. That's the main purpose of chiropractic, is to remove the interference and allow the body to return to the state that it was originally intended to function at 100% potential.
So back in the 1895's time, there was a lot of different labor type things, that people were doing more manual labor.
Right.
And there was causing a lot of different things to happen to the spine.
Right.
So what could have been some things back in that time that would have made some of these things happen?
Well, you've got lifting, you've got improper posture, you've got stresses and strains, all these type of things that we are bombarded with day in, day out can cause the spine to misalign. Let me just show you for a minute here that when a spine is in its normal position, all the nerves are free to function normally. However, through traumas, stresses, and strains, and all the various things that people are under day in and day out, these bones can start to move from their normal position. And when they start to move out of their normal position, they can get locked in that position. At that point, it starts to squeeze a nerve. Now that means whatever's connected at the end of this nerve, whatever organ it may be, whether it's the heart, the lungs, the liver, the legs, the arms, the spleen, or the kidneys, whatever the case might be, that part of the body not receiving the intelligence through that nerve because of bone pushing on that nerve, that body part is going to start to build damage. And that damage accumulates, and it accumulates until it gets to the point where it creates a symptom. The thing with chiropractic is we need to be examining people's spines to find out if they have this interference in here before the symptom shows up. Because once the symptom shows up, damage has already occurred. And for anybody that might doubt that, you can take a hammer and beat your thumbnail. And it only hurts after damage. It never hurts before the damage. So if you've already got symptoms in your body somewhere, we've already got damage. What we need to do from a chiropractic standpoint is two things. Find out where the bone is pushing on the nerve, and second, how much damage is in there. Because we already know damage is in there. What we don't know is how much damage is in there. So that's what we do as a chiropractor.
Interesting. A little bit more on the history. So at first when it came about, how did Mr. Palmer, Dr. Palmer, move with this? It might have been hard to convince people, or has it been happening for many centuries, well, this type of medicine, or care?
In the beginning, Dr. Palmer wanted to keep it a family secret. He says, I'm onto something here, I want to keep it right for myself. Now he had a son, his name was B.J. Palmer. And B.J. Palmer was, I believe it was his 4th or 5th student to go through the school, because he started teaching it. The only reason that he started teaching it because he had an accident that nearly cost him his life. And he says, you know, if I die, I'm taking this discovery that I have to my grave. So he started teaching people. And B.J. Palmer, like I said, was one of his early students that graduated from the Palmer School. At that point, they went into partnership, D.D. and his son B.J., and developed what is known as the Palmer School of Chiropractic there in Davenport, Iowa. And
to go on teaching about?
To go on teaching. Ultimately, D.D. Palmer went out to California, and he died in 1914. B.J. Palmer stayed in Davenport and developed chiropractic into what it is today. And B.J. Palmer led the chiropractic profession through many, many traumas and many fights and things like that, because chiropractic was not accepted in the beginning. Because the only people that went to a chiropractor first, basically back then, were medical failures. Because everybody went to the medical doctor first, and only when the medical doctor did not produce results, that's when they went on to chiropractic.
Okay, great. A little bit of history from Dr. Miller about the history of chiropractic, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about some things happening today and things happening in the future with chiropractic.